This is the overview for the 2010 Form B DBQ on the topic of American expansion from 1800 to 1860. The first document is an expression of hesitation by several politicians. It's about a territorial expansion in 1803. They don't think that it's a good idea because it will weaken the East, it's not constitutionally appropriate, and it'll put us in greater contact with the Spanish. That's the gist of document A. Clearly, the detail that we're filling in here is it's the Louisiana Purchase, and they're wondering whether we should do it or not. In document B, it is a map, a pattern of voting by congressional representatives. In the South and West, they clearly wanted to fight the War of 1812. In the North, in the New England region, they clearly did not. America's basic goal was to gain Canada. In document C, Lewis Cass is quoted. We see him a little bit later on with popular sovereignty, but his basic message here is that Americans need to move Indians out. They have had their chance. The Cherokee have been there for hundreds of years. They don't seem to have changed or improved much, and that only white Americans could conquer the West in the fashion in which it deserved. A little hard to find details here. He was the governor of Michigan. He was in the military, but at this point he was serving Jackson, and he was working with him on the Indian Removal Act. D as a map shows names of various tribes and arrows indicating trails or directions that they were moving in. Clearly the gist here is it's the Trail of Tears, and the tribes identified are notable, the 5 civilized tribes. In document E, it's a kind of a pencil sketch of an eagle on the United States. Unlike document A, where there's hesitation, this is very aggressive. This is saying America is ours. The detail you can bring into this is that this is a very bold expression of manifest destiny. Document F is a bit of an obscure statement by an obscure gentleman in the United States Senate. He's pretty much saying Oregon's vital. It's going to establish trade with Asia, India in particular. The detail that you'll find with research is that this gentleman was in fact father-in-law to John C. Fremont, the explorer and warrior who settles California. In document H, John C. Calhoun takes a kind of an elegant approach to explaining that new citizens of the United States, by way of the Mexican War, aren't sophisticated enough to be running a country. A detail that you might want to include is that to offset Calhoun's opinion, look at Abraham Lincoln. He too is in Congress, and he too is not in favor of the Mexican-American War, but for very different reasons, and you find that in his spot resolutions. In document G, it's an editorial, it's a magazine article in which Andrew Jackson shows up as expressing an opinion we should add Texas, despite the controversy about slavery and other issues revolving around Texas. The notable thing here is to put him in context. The article of 1844 shows he's not in the White House anymore, but clearly his opinion is still quite valued by American citizens. Document I is Henry David Thoreau. He's a transcendentalist. That's a detail in your favor. He's not in favor of the war. That's the flat-out explanation for the document. He didn't pay taxes, or at least he didn't pay the part he thought would be going to the Mexican-American War. Again, a tough reach for the average student. But in document J, the Ostend Manifesto, it is a very bold proclamation by some Southern politicians that the Ostend Manifesto said we wanted Cuba, and we wanted to spend $120 million to get it. An awful lot of money for a very small place for a plan that didn't work out anyway.